I was 12 years old when I learned that my existence would never be as simple as other people's. Back then, I didn't fully understand what it meant to be an Omega. I only knew it was dangerous, for me, for others. I only knew that it could destroy lives because it had already destroyed mine. That incident from my childhood carved itself into my memory like a scar on my soul. The moment I realized my second gender, when the first wave of heat came crashing down on me in a place where I was vulnerable, exposed, and humiliated. The voices, the eyes, the hands that grabbed me while I was too weak to fight back. Those things never faded. My body remembers even when I try to forget. That's why I swore I would never let anyone know. Never again. And for the last 10 years I've kept that promise. My name is Dongmi, and to the world, including my best friend, I am just another beta. Average, harmless, unremarkable. At least that's the mask I've worn so carefully for years. Beta pills keep my hormones in check. Scent patches disguise the truth from even the most sensitive noses. Every morning, I check myself in the mirror, hands shaking slightly as I peel the used patch from the inside of my wrist and replace it with a new one. I swallow the pill dry, no water, just so I never risk forgetting. The first thing people notice about me is that I'm quiet, reserved. I don't like being in crowds, and I flinch when someone touches me unexpectedly. But nobody ever asks why, and I never tell. Not even him. Especially not him. Seo Jun. We met in middle school when I was a scrawny, quiet kid sitting at the back of the class. He was loud, tall for his age, always getting into trouble with teachers. The kind of boy who drew everyone's attention just by existing. I never expected him to talk to me, much less become my friend. But he did. It started with something small, me lending him a pen after he forgot his for the 5th time in a row. He grinned, thanked me, and for some reason sat next to me the next day. From then on, we just stayed together. Lunch breaks, walks home, late night calls when exams had us both stressed. Seo Jun was light where I was shadow. His laughter filled spaces I didn't dare occupy. He was protective in ways he probably never realized, stepping between me and bullies, giving me his jacket when it was cold, dragging me to eat when I claimed I wasn't hungry. And somewhere along the line, my heart betrayed me. I fell for him. But Seo Jun hated Omegas. I don't know how many times I heard him say it, usually after some incident in the news. Omegas are dangerous. Unstable. They can't control themselves. His voice would harden, his hands clenching into fists. And then he'd add, softer but sharper, my mother was one. She ruined everything. She killed my dad. The first time he told me that, I remember my stomach twisting so violently I almost vomited. I wanted to tell him that not all Omegas were like that. I wanted to defend myself, defend the truth of who I was. But fear clamped my throat shut. So I nodded, pretended to agree, and I locked the secret deeper inside me. It's been 10 years since then. 10 years of friendship, of holding back, of pretending that every time he touched my shoulder or leaned too close it didn't send shivers down my spine. 10 years of smiling while my chest ached with words I couldn't say. Sometimes I wonder if it would have been easier never to meet him. If I had stayed invisible like I always wanted to be, maybe I wouldn't know what it's like to long for someone I can never have. But then he smiles at me and I know, I could never wish that. It's a Saturday afternoon when Seo Jun drags me out of my apartment. Come on, Dongmi, he says, tugging at my wrist like an impatient child. You can't just rot at home all weekend. Let's go. I roll my eyes, tugging my hoodie sleeve down to cover the patch on my wrist. Where? Arcade. Then barbecue. My treat. I raise an eyebrow. Did you win the lottery? Nope, he grins. Just being generous to my best friend. Best friend. The words sting more than they should. We spend the afternoon the way we always do. Seo Jun demolishes me at every arcade game, crowing in victory until I threaten to leave. He buys me snacks I insist I don't want but end up eating anyway. By the time we're grilling meat at a tiny street-side stall, my face actually hurts from smiling. This is what he does to me. Even after all these years, he still makes me feel safe, like the world isn't as heavy as it really is. But sometimes, when his gaze lingers too long, or when he leans across the table and wipes sauce from the corner of my mouth with his thumb, my heart pounds so loudly I'm terrified he'll hear it. And then I remember his words. I hate Omegas. The memory is enough to smother the fragile spark of hope before it burns me alive. That night, as I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, the familiar unease settles over me again. I can't let this go on forever. Sooner or later I'll slip. A pill forgotten. A patch too late. And then Seo Jun will know. And when he does, I'll lose everything. I close my eyes and press the heel of my palm to my chest, where the ache is sharpest. I'd rather be his best friend than nothing at all. So I'll keep lying. I'll keep hiding. Even if it kills me. Some secrets are easier to keep in the light of day. It's at night, when the world is silent and I'm left alone with my thoughts, that they start clawing at the edges of my sanity. I wake up drenched in sweat, my sheets twisted around me. The faint, unwelcome warmth lingers beneath my skin, a cruel reminder that no amount of pills or patches can change what I am. Omega. Even the word feels poisonous in my mind. I push myself out of bed, stumbling toward the bathroom sink. Cold water splashes against my face, grounding me. I catch my reflection in the mirror, pale skin, damp hair clinging to my forehead, eyes too wide, like prey cornered in the dark. Get a grip, dong me, I whisper to myself. I can't afford to break. Not now. Not when I've managed to hide this for so long. But the pills, they've been failing lately. I've noticed it in the way my body feels heavier, my chest tighter, my moods more volatile. My heat cycle is creeping closer, pressing against the walls I built, threatening to spill over. And the worst part? Seo Jun notices. The next morning he's waiting outside my apartment. Tall, broad-shouldered, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. When I open the door, he straightens, eyes narrowing immediately. You look like shit. Good morning to you too, I mutter, pulling on my shoes. I'm serious, he says, grabbing my wrist before I can shove my hands in my hoodie pocket. His grip is warm, steady, and it makes my pulse race. You've been pale for days. Are you sick? No, I lie easily. Just didn't sleep well. His frown deepens. Again? I tug my wrist free, careful to keep my sleeve from sliding up and revealing the patch beneath. You worry too much. Someone has to, he mutters, falling into step beside me as we head toward campus. This is how it always is with us. Seo Jun notices things no one else does. The way I flinch at sudden noises. The way I get quiet when certain topics come up. The way my hands tremble sometimes, like they remember things my brain tries to forget. And every time I dodge, I lie, I smile until he lets it go. But lately it's been harder. In class, I sit by the window pretending to take notes while my mind drifts. The professor's voice fades into background noise as I watch the world outside. The way sunlight filters through the trees, the way students laugh together on the lawn. Seo Jun nudges me with his elbow. Spacing out again? I blink caught. No. He smirks. Liar. You do that thing with your pen when you're not paying attention. I glance down. Sure enough, my pen is twirling between my fingers, a nervous habit I never managed to break. You're too observant, I mutter. You make it easy. His voice is casual, but when I look at him, his eyes linger on me a little too long. Warm. Searching. I look away first. Always I look away first. That evening we end up at his apartment. It's become routine over the years, me trailing after him, pretending it's just convenience when in truth, I crave being near him more than I crave anything else. His place smells like him. Clean, faintly woody, something sharp underneath that's uniquely Seo Jun. I shouldn't notice. I shouldn't breathe it in like it's the only thing keeping me alive. But I do. He tosses me a can of soda from the fridge and drops onto the couch. Stay over tonight. I almost choke. What? You look exhausted. If you go home alone, you'll just stare at your ceiling and not sleep again. Stay here. We'll play games until you pass out. He says it so casually like it's no big deal. But for me it's everything. My heart stumbles, heat creeping up my neck. I shake my head quickly. I can't. Dong me. His voice sharpens, cutting off my excuses. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, eyes locked on mine. What's really going on with you? You've been off for weeks. Don't tell me it's just bad sleep. I know you better than that. Panic flares in my chest. My carefully crafted mask threatens to slip under his gaze. He's too close to the truth, too close to seeing the parts of me I've buried for so long. I force a laugh. You're imagining things. Really, I'm fine. His jaw tightens. For a moment I think he'll push. But then he sighs, leaning back with a frustrated growl. You're the most stubborn person I know. I smile faintly. Takes one to know one. It diffuses the tension just enough. He rolls his eyes and grabs the game controllers, and we fall into our usual rhythm of banter and competition. But his earlier words linger in the air, heavy and unresolved. And later, when I finally leave his apartment and walk home alone, the ache in my chest is unbearable. 'Cause I know. The cracks are spreading. And sooner or later, the truth will pour through. There are days when I almost believe I can keep this secret forever. Then there are days like today, when my body betrays me, when my hands shake too much to hold a pen, when the patch on my wrist feels like it's burning through my skin. My heat is coming. I can feel it like a storm building beneath my ribs, waiting for the moment to break me open. I double up on pills, pressing them to the back of my tongue and swallowing with a gulp of lukewarm water. But the relief is temporary, a bandage on a wound that refuses to close. If anyone notices, if Seo Jun notices, the thought makes bile rise in my throat. The library is quiet when I slip into a corner seat, trying to distract myself with textbooks. The smell of paper and dust usually calms me, But today it does little to silence the buzzing in my head. My body feels too warm, my hoodie too heavy. Dong me? I flinch at the sound of my name. Seo Jun slides into the seat across from me, dropping his bag with a thud. His hair is mussed, his shirt clinging to his chest in a way that makes my stomach clench. What are you doing here? I ask too quickly. He arches a brow. It's a library, not a restricted zone. You. Studying. I gesture vaguely to the open book. He leans forward, scanning the page. You've been on the same paragraph for 10 minutes. He creeps up my neck. Have not. Have to. He smirks, but the amusement fades when his gaze sharpens. You don't look good. Again. I grip my pen tighter. Seo Jun. Don't say you're fine. His voice is firm, cutting through my weak defense. You've been pale all week. And today, he pauses, nose wrinkling slightly as if catching something. My heart slams against my ribs. You smell different. I freeze. My blood runs cold. You can't know. You can't. I spilled cologne this morning, I stammer, forcing out the lie with a strained laugh. Guess it's still strong. He studies me for a long, unbearable moment. Then, with a slow nod, he lets it go. But I can see the suspicion lingering in his eyes. I exhale shakily, forcing my body to stay still when all I want is to run. Later that evening, rain pours from the sky, turning the city streets into shimmering rivers of light. Seo Jun insists on walking me home despite my protests. You'll catch a cold, I argue, clutching my umbrella. I don't get sick, he replies, hands stuffed in his pockets, hair plastered to his forehead. He grins, boyish and reckless. Besides, someone's gotta make sure you don't collapse on the sidewalk. My heart twists painfully. He doesn't know how close he is to the truth, how close I really am to collapsing, but not for the reasons he thinks. Halfway to my apartment, the dizziness hits me. A wave of heat surges through my body, blurring the world at the edges. My knees buckle. Dong me. Seo Jun's arm is around me instantly, steady and strong, pulling me against him. His scent envelopes me, clean, sharp, overwhelmingly alpha. It sinks into my skin and I have to bite my lip to keep from gasping. I'm fine, I whisper, but my voice is weak, trembling. The hell you are, he snaps, holding me tighter. You're burning up. Panic claws at my throat. If he holds me any longer, if my body reacts, he'll know. I push weakly at his chest. Let go, Seo Jun. Please. His eyes search mine, stormy with worry and something else I can't name. Slowly, reluctantly, he eases his hold, but his hand lingers at the small of my back, steadying me as we continue walking. The silence between us is thick, charged. Every step feels like walking a tightrope above a secret I've spent my whole life protecting. When we finally reach my apartment, I fumble with the keys, nearly dropping them. Seo Jun takes them gently from my hands and unlocks the door himself. Go lie down, he orders. I don't need. Dong me. His tone leaves no room for argument. I obey, sinking onto the edge of my bed as he hovers in the doorway. His shirt clings to him from the rain, his eyes dark under the dim light. For a heartbeat, neither of us moves. Then he sighs, running a hand through his wet hair. I don't get it. You never tell me anything, but you expect me not to worry? You're my best friend. Don't you trust me? The words stab deep. Of course I trust you. I just don't trust that you'll stay if you know the truth. I swallow hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. I do trust you. I don't want to be a burden. His expression softens, but his eyes remain intense. You could never be a burden. My chest aches so fiercely I can hardly breathe. I want to tell him everything. I want to fall into his arms and let him carry the weight I've been holding for so long. But the memory of his voice echoes in my head. I hate omegas. So I smile weakly instead. Thanks, Seo Jun, really. He watches me for a long moment, then nods. Get some rest. I'll check on you tomorrow. And just like that, he's gone. The door clicks shut and the silence crashes over me. My body trembles, the heat surging higher, stronger, impossible to ignore. The storm inside me is breaking. So, I won't be able to hide it anymore. There are warnings my body gives me, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. The pills stop working. The patches sting against my skin, no longer masking the truth. My dreams turn feverish, filled with warmth and hands that don't exist. And then, one evening, it happens. I knew the moment I woke up that morning that something was wrong. The air felt heavier, my sheets clung to me like they couldn't let go. My body was too warm, my skin hypersensitive. Even the brush of fabric against my wrist made me flinch. My heat had come early. Panic clawed up my throat as I scrambled for the pills, shaking the bottle until 2 white tablets fell into my palm. I swallowed them dry, but I knew deep down it was already too late. By the time I stepped outside, my head was spinning. Every sound felt too loud, every scent too sharp. I tugged my hoodie tighter, hoping it would hide the trembling of my hands. Dong me. Of course. Of course Seo Jun would show up. He jogged toward me, eyes narrowing the instant he saw my face. You look worse than yesterday. Why didn't you call me? I forced a laugh, though it came out brittle. You don't have to babysit me. He frowned, stepping closer. Too close. My heart stuttered, my body reacting in ways I couldn't control. His scent, his alpha scent, wrapped around me, rich and intoxicating. It drowned out the world, burned through my fragile defenses. No. No, no, no. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over the curb. I have to go. Dong me, wait. But I couldn't. If I stayed even one more second, he would know. He would smell it on me, the truth I'd spent years burying. So I ran. The world blurred past me, streets, trees, voices. My vision swam, sweat dripping into my eyes. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I had to get away. Behind me I heard him. Dong me. His voice, desperate, angry, chasing me through the chaos. I turned a corner too fast, crashing through the doors of an empty classroom building. My legs gave out halfway down the hall. I stumbled into the nearest room and slammed the door shut, fumbling the lock with trembling hands. My back hit the wood as I slid to the floor, gasping for air. My whole body ached, my skin burning, my pulse hammering in my ears. Tears pricked at my eyes. It was over. Everything I'd built, every lie, every careful step, it was all about to crumble. Dong me. His voice was just outside. The handle rattled once, twice before the door swung open. I didn't even have the strength to protest. Seo Jun burst inside, his chest heaving, eyes wild with worry. And then he froze. Because he knew. Because the air was thick with my scent, sweet, sharp, overwhelming, impossible to ignore. His gaze locked on me, wide with shock. You're? I choked out a sob, pressing my face into my hands. Now you know. You're going to hate me. Just like everyone else. For a heartbeat there was silence. The kind that stretched until it broke me open. And then, Dong me, he said, voice low, strained. I shook my head violently. Don't say it. You told me before, you hate Omegas. You hate them because of your mother. And now you'll hate me too. I didn't want this, I tried to hide it. I didn't want to lose you. My words dissolved into tears, my body trembling uncontrollably. But instead of disgust, instead of anger, I felt warmth. Strong arms wrapped around me, pulling me against a chest that smelled like everything I'd ever wanted and feared. I don't hate you, Seo Jun whispered fiercely, his breath hot against my ear. I stiffened. You, what? He tightened his hold, burying his face in my hair. I don't hate you. I never could. Damn it, Dong me, do you know how long I've... His voice broke off, replaced by a low, guttural sound, like he was barely holding himself back. The heat between us surged, unbearable. His scent enveloped me, dragging me deeper into the pull I'd fought for so long. My body arched against him without my permission, desperate, needy. Seo Jun, I gasped, half plea, half warning. He cupped my face, forcing me to look at him. His eyes were dark, burning with something raw, something that terrified me and thrilled me all at once. I don't care what you are, he said. I don't care if you're Omega, Beta, or anything else. You. And I... His voice faltered, then steadied with conviction. I've been in love with you for years. My breath caught. The world tilted. For a second I thought I was hallucinating, that my fevered mind had conjured the words I'd always wanted to hear. But then he kissed me. His lips crashed against mine, fierce and desperate, tasting of rain and fire. I gasped against him, and he swallowed the sound, deepening the kiss until I was melting in his arms. Every fear, every wall, every carefully hidden piece of me shattered in that moment. Because Seo Jun didn't pull away. Because he didn't hate me. Because he wanted me. And as his hand slid down to my waist, pulling me closer, I realized I wanted him too. More than anything. His lips on mine were everything I'd imagined in secret. Everything I'd dreamed of in the quiet hours when I let myself believe the impossible. But this was real. His warmth, his breath, his hands anchoring me, it was all real. Seo Jun kissed me like he'd been holding back for years, like every second apart had been torture. And I couldn't resist anymore. My body betrayed me, pressing closer, arching into him, desperate for more. The heat that had consumed me for days ignited into something overwhelming, but no longer terrifying. Not when he was here. Not when he was holding me. I pulled back just enough to breathe, gasping against his mouth. Seo Jun, you'll regret this. Omega, he finished for me, his thumb brushing away the tears streaking down my cheek. His gaze burned into mine, steady and unshakable. And you're still the same Dong me I've loved since we were kids. My heart cracked open at his words. You love me? He gave a soft, almost pained laugh, pressing his forehead against mine. I've been so damn blind. I told myself I hated omegas, but the truth is, I hated what my mother did. I hated the fear she put in me. But you, his hand slid down to my waist, gripping tightly, like he was afraid I'd vanish. You've never been anything but my light. And I can't lose you. The confession undid me. All the years of hiding, all the fear of rejection, it all dissolved under the weight of his truth. I kissed him again, harder this time, pouring every unsaid word, every buried feeling into it. His answering groan vibrated against my lips as he deepened the kiss, tilting my chin to take more, to give more. Before I realized it, he was lowering me gently onto the floor, his body hovering above mine, careful but desperate. His hands slid under my hoodie, fingertips grazing the heated skin of my stomach. I shivered, gasping at the contact. Seo Jun, my voice broke. Tell me to stop, he whispered, eyes searching mine. If you don't want this, tell me and I'll stop. Stop? When I dreamed of this for years. When my body was trembling with need, my chest aching with love. I shook my head, tears slipping free. Don't stop. Please. His expression crumbled, relief flooding his features before he kissed me again. Softer this time, reverent, like a promise. His hands moved carefully, sliding my hoodie off, his touch igniting trails of fire across my skin. I clung to him, nails digging into his back, afraid this was just another dream I'd wake from. You're beautiful, he murmured, lips trailing down my jaw, my neck. I gasped, the sound filling the room, raw and unguarded. Every touch was overwhelming, but not in the way my past had scarred me to expect. With Seo Jun there was no fear. Only trust. Only love. When he finally pressed inside me, filling the aching emptiness my heat had carved out, I cried out, not in pain but in release. His hands held me steady, his voice murmuring reassurance against my ear, grounding me in his warmth. I've got you, he whispered again and again like a mantra. Your mind on me. Always. The rhythm built, each movement sinking us closer, until I was lost in him completely. Every kiss, every touch, every breath was his. My heart, my body, my soul, they all belonged to him. And when the world shattered in blinding pleasure, it wasn't just release. It was freedom. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of being an omega. Because with Seo Jun, I wasn't just an omega. I was his. After he held me close, his arms wrapped around me as though he'd never let go. His lips brushed my temple, soft and lingering. I love you, he murmured against my skin, so quietly I almost thought I imagined it. But I didn't. I heard it. And I believed it. I buried my face in his chest, letting the steady beat of his heart lull me into peace. I love you too, I whispered. The words were terrifying but they felt right. And as I drifted into sleep, tangled in his arms, I knew. My life would never be the same again. The first thing I felt when I woke up was warmth. Not the feverish burn that had haunted me for weeks, but steady, grounding warmth. I blinked groggily, my eyes adjusting to the soft morning light streaming through the curtains. And then I realized why it felt different. Seo Jun's arm was wrapped around my waist, his chest pressed against my back. His breath tickled the back of my neck, slow and even in sleep. For a moment I just lay there, frozen, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat against my spine. My heart wanted to stay, to soak in every second of this closeness I'd dreamed of for years. But then reality came crashing back. Last night. My heat. My secret exposed. The things I'd said, the things we'd done. I sat up abruptly, untangling myself from his arms. My body ached, sore in ways I'd never experienced, but it was the weight in my chest that threatened to crush me. What if he regretted it? What if, when he woke, he remembered his words about hating omegas? What if last night was just instinct, just the pull of pheromones and nothing more? The thought made my stomach twist violently. I was halfway to the bathroom when his voice, rough with sleep, stopped me. Dong me? I froze, my hand gripping the door frame. Slowly, I turned to see him sitting up in bed, hair a mess, sheets pulled around his waist. His eyes, still heavy with sleep, softened when they met mine. Where are you going? Bathroom, I muttered, unable to meet his gaze. He studied me for a moment before nodding. Come back after. As if it were that simple. By the time I emerged, freshly washed but still restless, Seo Jun had pulled on a shirt and was sitting at the edge of the bed, waiting. His gaze locked onto me the moment I stepped out. Come here, he said. My throat tightened. Seo Jun. Please. His voice was quiet but firm. I obeyed, perching on the edge of the bed beside him. My hands twisted in my lap, refusing to stay still. He reached out, covering them with his larger, steadier hands. The warmth of his touch made my eyes sting with unshed tears. Last night, I began, my voice breaking. If it was just the heat, if you didn't mean it. Stop. His grip tightened around my hands. Don't say that. I looked up, startled. His expression was fierce, almost angry, but his eyes were wet with something softer. Do you really think I'd touch you, hold you like that if it didn't mean anything to me? Do you think I'd risk everything we've built, 10 years of friendship, for something empty? I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. He leaned closer, pressing his forehead to mine. I meant every word, Dongmi. I love you. Not because of your secondary gender. Not in spite of it. Just because you're you. Tears spilled down my cheeks before I could stop them. But, you said you hated Omegas. His jaw clenched. I hated what I thought being an Omega meant. What my mother showed me. I blamed the word, the biology, instead of her choices. But last night, his voice softened. You showed me how wrong I was. I shook my head weakly. I'm still scared. What if people find out? What if they look at me the way you used to? What if? Then let them, he cut in, voice sharp with conviction. Let the whole damn world find out. I won't let anyone hurt you again. Not while I'm here. My chest constricted painfully, overwhelmed by the force of his words. Seo Jun had always been protective, but this was different. This was love. When he kissed me again, it wasn't desperate like last night. It was slow, gentle, deliberate, a promise. We spent the day together, cocooned in the quiet of his apartment. He made breakfast, though he burned the eggs and cursed under his breath, making me laugh for the first time in weeks. He scolded me for trying to help, shoving me back onto the couch with a stern look. Sit. You need rest, he said, piling toast and half-burned eggs onto a plate. I rolled my eyes but obeyed, the domesticity of it all sinking into me like sunlight. And yet, beneath the warmth, a sliver of unease remained. Because while Seo Jun's acceptance felt like a miracle, the world outside wasn't so kind. People hated Omegas, distrusted them, feared them. And now I wasn't just hiding from strangers. I was hiding from everyone, except him. And that, maybe, was enough. For now. For a while it felt like we were living in a dream. Days blurred together in the haze of new affection. Quiet mornings filled with clumsy breakfasts, evenings spent sprawled on the couch, Seo Jun's hand never far from mine. It was the kind of ordinary intimacy I'd only allowed myself to fantasize about, and now it was real. But dreams, I learned, always end. It started with a whisper. Dongmi. I turned, startled, as one of our classmates sidled up to me in the library. His expression was hesitant, curious in a way that made my stomach tighten. You've been looking different lately. His eyes flicked over me sharp. And when you passed by earlier, I could have sworn I smelled. Nothing, I interrupted, my voice sharper than intended. My heart thundered against my ribs. You must have imagined it. He frowned but didn't press. Not there, not then. But his words clung to me like burrs. When I returned to the table, Seo Jun was waiting, flipping through his notes. His gaze flicked up to me immediately, his brows furrowing. What's wrong? Nothing, I lied, forcing a smile. His eyes narrowed. He didn't believe me. The whispers grew over the next few days. A lingering stare here. A poorly concealed sniff there. The pills and patches I'd relied on for years were failing me, or maybe I was just too paranoid, too consumed by the fear of discovery. Every time someone's gaze lingered on me a second too long, my chest tightened. Every careless laugh behind me sounded like ridicule. One evening I couldn't take it anymore. I burst into Seo Jun's apartment, my nerves frayed raw. They know, I whispered, pacing the length of the living room. Someone knows. I can feel it, Seo Jun. They're watching me, waiting for me to slip. He grabbed my wrist mid-step, pulling me to a stop. His eyes were steady, burning with that same conviction that had both frightened and comforted me since the night he found out. Let them, he said again, the same words he'd spoken before. But this time I shook my head, my throat tight. You don't understand. If they find out, everything changes. They'll look at me like I'm dangerous, broken, disgusting. They'll have to go through me first, he snapped, his grip tightening on my wrist. I won't let anyone hurt you. Not now, not ever. His words should have soothed me, but instead they cracked something open inside me. Tears spilled over before I could stop them, hot and humiliating. I can't live like that, Seo Jun. Always afraid. Always hiding. I thought I could keep it a secret forever, but now. He pulled me into his arms, silencing my trembling words against his chest. His hold was firm, grounding, but I still shook beneath it. You're not broken, he murmured into my hair. And you're not disgusting. You're the strongest person I know. Stronger than me even. I let out a shaky laugh, muffled against his shirt. That's a lie. He leaned back, cupping my face in both hands, forcing me to meet his gaze. His eyes shone with something fierce, unshakable. It's the truth, he said. And then softer, if they see you, if they finally know, then let them. Because I want them to see what I see. Someone worth loving. Someone worth fighting for. My breath caught. The world outside was still sharp, dangerous, but in that moment, wrapped in his hands, his words, his certainty, I felt safe. He kissed me then, slow and deliberate as if sealing a vow. The rumors didn't stop. If anything, they grew louder. People were talking, wondering, circling closer to the truth I'd guarded all my life. But each time I faltered, each time fear threatened to consume me, Seo Jun was there. His hand finding mine in crowded hallways. His voice steadying me when I couldn't breathe. His warmth anchoring me when the past clawed its way back into the present. And slowly, against all odds, I began to believe. Not in the world. Not in strangers. But in us. One night, as we lay tangled together in the dark, I whispered the question that had haunted me for years. Seo Jun, what if I ruin you? What if loving me destroys everything for you? He shifted, pressing a kiss to the crown of my head. His voice was low but certain, every word sinking into me like truth. Then let it. I'd rather burn with you than live without you. And for the first time in years, I let myself fall asleep without fear. The end came faster than I expected. I thought I could outrun it, patch after patch, pill after pill, day after day. But the truth has sharp edges and no disguise lasts forever. It happened on an ordinary afternoon. The air in the lecture hall was heavy with summer heat, the drone of the professor's voice lulling half the students into boredom. I was scribbling notes when the sharp pang hit my chest. Too familiar, too cruel. My body stiffened. The bitter taste of panic filled my mouth. Not now. Please not now. The suppressants had failed me again. It started as a trickle of scent, subtle but unmistakable to anyone with a nose trained to catch it. I saw the heads lift, the confused frowns, the whispers spreading like wildfire through dry grass. Omega? Is it him? No way, Dongmi? My vision blurred, every nerve in my body screaming to run. But before I could move, before I could even breathe, a hand closed around mine. Seo Jun. He stood beside me, his jaw tight, his grip unyielding. His voice cut through the noise, loud and certain. Yes, he said, daring the room with his gaze. Dongmi is an Omega. And he's mine. Gasps rippled through the room, the weight of his declaration silencing everything for a heartbeat. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. My chest heaved, tears threatening to spill, but Seo Jun's hand never loosened. Someone scoffed from the back. You're seriously claiming an Omega? After everything you've said about them? Seo Jun's eyes darkened, his voice sharp as steel. I was wrong. About Omegas. About everything. If you've got a problem, take it up with me. But leave him out of it. The room buzzed, shock and disbelief mingling in the air. I sat frozen, the weight of a decade of fear crushing me. But then I looked at him, Seo Jun, unwavering, unflinching, and something inside me cracked open. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. The fallout was immediate. Whispers trailed me in every hallway. Curious stares burned holes in my back. Some people sneered openly, others kept their distance like I carried a disease. But no matter where I went, Seo Jun was there. Walking at my side, holding my hand, daring anyone to say a word. At first, the attention made me flinch, made me want to shrink into myself. But with every step, with every squeeze of his hand, the fear dulled. Not gone, but lighter. One evening, when the world felt too heavy, I broke. I told you this would happen, I whispered, my voice shaking as I sat curled on his couch. I told you people would look at me differently, hate me, judge me. I've ruined everything for you. Seo Jun knelt in front of me, cupping my face in his hands. His gaze was fierce, his words steady. You haven't ruined anything. You've given me everything. Don't you see, Dongmi? You're not my weakness. You're my strength. My throat closed up, tears spilling freely. You're just saying that. He cut me off with a kiss, fierce and desperate, pulling me into his arms like he'd never let go. When he finally pulled back, his forehead pressed to mine, his voice was a whisper that held the weight of eternity. I love you. And I'm not letting you go. Not now. Not ever. The weeks that followed weren't easy. There were stares, rumors, even confrontations. But there were also moments of unexpected kindness. A classmate who smiled instead of sneering, a professor who carried on as if nothing had changed. And through it all, Seo Jun never wavered. We built something new in the open, fragile but real. Date nights where we walked hand in hand without hiding. Afternoons tangled together in his apartment, laughter replacing the silence of fear. Late night kisses under the stars, where I finally let myself believe in forever. One night, lying in his arms as the city lights flickered outside, I whispered the words I'd held back for years. I love you, Seo Jun. His smile was soft, his eyes brighter than any star. Say it again. I love you. He kissed me then, slow and lingering as if sealing the promise between us. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel broken. I felt whole. With him. Always with him.